Joining us now is Cara Castronuova. She is both an investigative reporter for the Gateway Pundit. She's also has a great show on Newsmax, which is called The Wise Guys, which she co-anchors. She has been a tireless advocate for the U.S. Constitution. She has been an intrepid and dogged investigative reporter regarding the events of January 6th. And she was most recently a Republican candidate for the New York State Assembly, where she ran an uphill but valiant campaign in what was probably a hopeless district. She joins us today because she decided late last week to be a candidate for the U.S. Senate. Cara Castronuova joins us now in the Stone Zone.
Thank you. Hey, Roger, how are you today?
Cara, welcome. I know you were up at 6:45 in the morning because I heard you on WABC radio with Sid Rosenberg. You recognize that you have now bitten off quite a task. For those who are not familiar, Kirsten Gillibrand is the incumbent U.S. Senator from New York State. If you haven't heard from her, well, that wouldn't be shocking. She hasn't really done much. She's essentially a Senator Chuck Schumer's sock puppet. She votes however he tells her to vote. Now, when she was an upstate Democrat congresswoman, she was actually a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. She was appointed to the U.S. Senate by Governor David Paterson. Paterson himself became governor upon the resignation of Governor Eliot Spitzer, who resigned in a sex scandal. Paterson went on to become governor when Hillary Clinton abandoned this seat to become Secretary of State. That vacancy was filled by Ms. Gillibrand. Her poll numbers are not strong. She has no presence in New York State. She actually, I don't even think, lives in the state. She essentially has moved to Washington, D.C. Her father, who is now retired, once one of the most prominent and influential lobbyists in Albany, and her patron, Chuck Schumer, will be certain that she has no shortage of campaign money. It is vitally important, in my opinion, that the New York Republican Party nominates someone who is a full-throated supporter of President Donald Trump, someone who supports the America First agenda. Now, to set the table here, Cara Castronuova was among those candidates considered by Republican leaders in the 3rd District of New York, that's Long Island, to run in the special election to fill the seat vacated by George Santos when he left the Congress. She was not selected in that race. The candidate who was selected, well, she was a Democrat, and she also would never say whether or not she voted for Donald Trump. If you examine the results of that election, which was only a few days ago, Tom Suozzi, a former congressman who left the seat to run for governor, came back to win the seat. But the Republican candidate actually underperformed in the Republican areas. Now, just for this long-winded setup, Republican leaders will meet on Thursday to determine who their endorsed candidate for the U.S. Senate will be. There are 2 other candidates. We're not here really to talk about them. We're talking about Cara Castronuova, who I know to be one of the hardest working patriots in the country, a woman of impeccable background who actually had a career as a boxer, as a professional ranked boxer, as an investigative journalist, and as an activist. All right, Cara, why are you running for the U.S. Senate?
Well, I'm running for U.S. Senate because, I'm America First. I'm frustrated here in New York with I don't think the representatives in New York represent the people. Everybody says that New York is far gone and it's a blue state, but in my opinion, we're just not putting up the right leaders and putting up the right people to run for office. I think that I am definitely the person that could beat Kirsten Gillibrand. I'm a woman. I could come at her in different ways that a man can't come at her. I don't have any respect for what she's done for the state of New York. I don't like the way that she votes. I don't like the way that she's just completely MIA. So I think that I would be a great candidate to beat her, Roger. And I really thank you so much for your support. Your name goes very far in New York. A lot of people in New York really respect Roger Stone.
Well, I appreciate that. In the meantime, I see that former Mayor Rudy Giuliani has endorsed you. General Michael Flynn, one of the greatest living Americans of my lifetime, has endorsed you. I read a terrific piece about your prospective candidacy in the Gateway Pundit, where you've done some of your very best investigative journalism. Tell us how the system works in the party's selection and endorsement of a candidate.
Well, I'm very hopeful that I'm hoping for a primary. The way that it works here in New York is there's 62 counties and that there's 62 county chairs. So this Thursday in Binghamton, New York, everybody will get together and they will vote. And if you could obtain 25%, so really there could be 4 candidates. Usually they avoid doing that, but there could be more than one candidate if you get 25% of the weighted vote, meaning each county has a different percentage of however many voters came out and voted in the last election, the last gubernatorial election. We'll get, like, Nassau County has 11%, but a county upstate might have 3% of the weighted vote. So if I could obtain 25% of that weighted vote, then I can actually go into the primary and primary Mike Sapercone, who right now it looks like he has at least 50% of the weighted vote. He has some backing of the establishment and the Republican Party here in New York. And I think that there are some people, though, out there, and I've been speaking to chairmen up and down the state, chairwomen. They're all great people. A lot of them are considering me. They're considering supporting me. Some aren't making decisions until the actual convention, the day of the convention. Some already are committed to different candidates. There's another gentleman in the race as well. And some people are making commitments, and some people are just waiting until Wednesday or Thursday to see who they're going to support.
Look, New York State Republican politics has a long tradition of following a hierarchical leadership. The New York State Republican Party chairman, Ed Cox, is a personal friend of mine. He is, of course, the son-in-law of former President Richard Nixon. It is a democratic system, meaning that the county chairs can cast their vote for whoever they wish. The two gentlemen you're running against have a long head start against you. And while our purpose here today is not to attack other candidates, it did come to my attention this morning that Mr. Sapercone has given an enormous amount of money to Democrats, and specifically to Congressman Tom Suozzi, who won the special election. Does Mr. Sapercone indicate whether he supported Donald Trump or whether he would support him in 2024?
I really haven't seen anything regarding that. All I know is that I'm a candidate that 100% supports Donald Trump in 2024. There's no denying that. I'm not wishy-washy. I double down. Donald Trump was the greatest president in my lifetime, and he had great policies that I wish we could bring back. I think Joe Biden, obviously, it's a given. He's doing a terrible job. People in New York realize that it's a wide open opportunity for somebody like me to come in, somebody who's America first, somebody who's not afraid to align myself with President Trump, to go up and down the state campaigning, campaigning for myself and for America first values. I was in the Bronx. I'm sure a lot of people watching saw the viral package that President Trump shared twice of me being in the Bronx, actually interviewing people, minorities in the Bronx, the most Democrat district, 90% Democrat, screaming Trump 2024, literally in the South Bronx, from the streets of the Bronx. He has so much support down there, and that really opened my eyes. And that's another reason I wanted to mention why I decided that it would be a great time to run for office, especially something statewide like the Senate seat, because there are so many different groups in New York right now that are just so frustrated with the Democrat policies and are so groups that never before would have looked at voting for somebody like Donald Trump or for America First Patriot person are looking at that. And that includes the minority communities and a lot of people in the inner cities as well.
Look, I know you as an investigative journalist, and I know you as an activist. Tell my listeners, however, about your athletic career. Tell us about your experience as a ranked boxer.
Well, I was going back some time now, but it seems like just yesterday I was a competitive boxer. I won the Golden Gloves twice here in New York in Madison Square Garden. I was ranked #2 in the nation by USA Boxing. So I really, know what it feels like to fight hard for something. I know what it feels like to win. I know what it feels like to lose. It's really just for me about the fight. The harder the challenge is, and the more punches that are thrown at me, literally the harder I fight. So like I said, I think that boxing and all the hard training that I did really prepared me for things like running for office, for the investigative work that I've done at the Gateway Pundit, for the journalism that I do, which is pretty fearless because I really go up against the machine sometimes, and I really go to bat for people, and I really try to be a voice for the voiceless, like the January 6 prisoners, and stuff like that isn't exactly popular at all. And I do it anyway because I feel like it's my calling just to fight for people that can't fight for themselves. And one of the reasons why, again, I would love to be representing people here in New York in the Senate, because so many New Yorkers feel forgotten in Washington, D.C. There's so many Republicans that are here in New York that are even afraid to say they're Republican, that need a representative like me that's not afraid, somebody that will be their voice, and somebody that will fight for their best interests. So boxing has been a blessing in so many ways. Besides the fact that, I had injuries where I lost my eardrum and I had many concussions in my 20s, I think the trade-off was worth it now, looking back at the training that I did mentally and spiritually and physically, that makes me really conditioned to do a race as large and as taxing as a Senate race would be.
Very, very well put. Look, I think the quality in a boxer or any professional athlete is the same necessary quality in a candidate for political office or a political leader, and that is discipline. And you most definitely have discipline and the stamina for a tough race. Troy, do you have a question for Cara Castronuova?
Absolutely. Yeah, you talked about going to the Bronx and seeing people talking about Trump 2024. Was there a specific thing that happened in New York City that kind of pushed people in that direction in the last few years? Was it Biden, the immigration? What exactly would you point at?
It's a number of things. They hate Biden. I mean, I kid you not when I tell you, I never thought I'd be walking in the South Bronx and hearing F Joe Biden. When I asked somebody a question with my news mic and said, what do you think of how Joe Biden is handling the economy? People walking by in the street would just start screaming F Joe Biden. I was like, am I in La La Land? Because that never has happened before. I've been in the Bronx reporting on many different issues, and I've never seen that before. They're really upset, number one, and first and foremost about the economy. People in the Bronx, a lot of them live they live well below the poverty line. And, all they could talk about was how food prices had gone up and about how they can't afford to live anymore, and how Biden was putting soon they were going to need to go to the homeless shelter. So, they feel it the most. People that are obviously at the poverty line or below feel how the economy is so terrible more than anybody else when they have to choose between a loaf of bread or eggs. Literally have to make that choice in the store. And that's like the honest to God's truth. That was what I was hearing from them. A lot of them were very frustrated as well. With Biden and his foreign affairs, saying that when Trump was in office, there were no wars. We weren't sending millions of dollars away. We could have kept that money here. So why is it that Donald Trump, when he was in office, we had world peace? So that was another thing that I was hearing from the people in the Bronx as well. And the immigration crisis, of course, there's multiple shelters popping up here in New York, and many, many people in the communities of the Bronx, minorities, people that are white, people that are living below the poverty line, Black, Asian, Hispanics, everybody, it's across the board, are frustrated that this money, billions of dollars, are going to illegal immigrants when they themselves cannot afford rent. They themselves are living paycheck to paycheck. It's literally hard, a woman told me, for her to buy a meal at McDonald's, to treat herself to a meal at McDonald's. Yet immigrants are getting here in New York City debit cards that are loaded with cash, and they're getting to stay at luxury hotels. So this is something that's really almost like a smack in the face to the people in New York City in the urban areas.
All right, so folks, just so you understand the process, Cara Castronuova has to get 25% at a Republican state committee meeting, which comes up on Thursday. That will legally qualify her to go into the Republican primary without having to collect the necessary signatures to get on the ballot. Now, the requirements for signature collection are extraordinarily onerous. They're difficult, they're expensive, and the state law gives you a very, very narrow time frame in which they need to be collected. So it is vital that Cara Castronuova get 25% of the vote of the Republican State Committee to secure a place on the ballot. You can help her do that by going to her campaign website. Let's put that back up under Cara's photo if we could. There you have it, Cara Castronuova at caraforsenate.com, caraforsenate.com. Folks, go to the website and help this valiant patriot. She is the right woman at the right time. This will be a difficult uphill race for any Republican against incumbent Kirsten Gillibrand. But knowing her, I know that Cara Castronuova is the right person for this job. Cara, thank you so much for joining us today in the Stone Zone. I know you've got a huge amount of work to do today. Make sure you get sufficient rest. You were great on the radio this morning, and I thank you again for entering the Stone Zone.
God bless you, Roger, both of you.
All right, folks, that was Cara Castronuova, endorsed by Rudy Giuliani for the U.S. Senate, New York, endorsed by General Flynn. I've also, for what it's worth, lent my endorsement. She is admittedly, Troy, gotten into this race very late. She auditioned, or I should say she was interviewed for the Republican nomination in the 3rd District. That's the Long Island District given up by George Santos, who was removed from the seat by the U.S. House, despite the fact that his due process rights had not played out. He had not yet been convicted of a crime. I'm not particularly a fan of Mr. Santos, but I do believe that based on precedent, only a conviction, not an accusation, should remove you from the House. Unfortunately, House Republicans saw that differently. We nominated a woman named Mazie Phillip, who was actually a registered Democrat and who refused to embrace either Donald Trump or the America First agenda. And of course, we lost. We should not make that mistake again. Cara Castronuova, most definitely the right person for this nomination. So I hope folks will support her. We're going to take a very quick commercial break. And then when we come back, I'm going to show you an extraordinary interview by former Congressman Tulsi Gabbard, who I believe should be on the short list of those considered by Donald Trump as a potential vice presidential running mate. Folks, I don't endorse products lightly. I've long been practicing alternative medicine, treated prophylactically with acupuncture, take a daily combination of Chinese herbs and other natural supplements to boost my immunity and energy. But I want to tell you about a great product that has changed my life. That product is Cardio Miracle. Now, Cardio Miracle is a nitric oxide product. It is a crucial ingredient. It's essential for life, involved in many critical body functions, especially keeping arteries and your heart young and flexible. So this is a heart healthy product. It is vital for keeping blood pressure and cholesterol level healthy. It supports the anti-inflammatory response. It promotes overall good health and a sense of well-being. But most importantly for me, it supports natural energy and better recovery. Cardio Miracle is simple to take. It is taken twice a day, a small capful mixed with either water or juice. It tastes like raspberry. It's quite pleasant. And the uptick in my energy has been extraordinary. Now, I'm not a doctor and I don't make any medical claims, other than this is a all natural supplement that I think can completely change your life. It is, as I say, a mix of nitric oxide, their own proprietary blend, mixed with all of the other antioxidants that one needs on a regular basis. You can take this in lieu of a daily vitamin, for example. So to order this amazing product, which you will find extraordinarily affordable, please go to cardiomiracle.com, cardiomiracle.com. And when you go there, please use promo code STONE. I only endorse products that I really believe in. This is one such great product.
Roger Stone did nothing wrong. They wanna get me like I'm Roger Stone. They wanna get me like I'm Roger Stone. They wanna frame me like I'm Roger Stone. They wanna frame me like I'm Roger Stone.